Yes, sure.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Welcome to Curious Times, and this is our yet another edition of Teachers Day, and we are very delighted to have you for now the third year in row. Very warm welcome to you on Teachers Day.
Very big thank you to you, Dipti, first of all, for your wonderful wishes. And coming back to Curious Time platform has always been a pleasure. I look forward to it.
Right. So, ma'am, this year we thought that we're going to reach out to all the senior leaders in education and talk about a few subjects which, especially for this year, have taken a lot of importance and center stage. And the last 2 years were, everybody's studying remote, and the format was very different. But some of the changes that have happened in the system because of the pandemic, and also because of a lot of changes happening in the education space, the policy environment, etc., is right now getting reflected as we are in 2022. So some of the topics that we thought, we will go to our senior leaders and find out their views on is something that I thought I will sort of, discuss with you. I think the first question, which obviously we've discussed in the past also in different ways, but I think right now for us, there's ed tech and there is technology in education, right? And what I would want us to hear from you is, like, your views on what will be the role of technology in education, and then what is then the role of teachers, as if we are jumping or adopting more technology. What do we do with technology? What is that we need to get over there, and what is then the teacher's role?
A wonderful question, a most pertinent question, Dipti, being asked and being answered also, but there's a lot to ponder on this area, you know. See, one thing we have to understand and accept. Technology is here to stay. 2019 will never come back to you. You cannot get back the educational scenario of 2019. It cannot happen again, right? So in that case, like the English proverb says, what cannot be cured must be endured. We should learn to live with technology. But does that mean teachers become obsolete? No. Technology is a tool, technology is a support, technology is an enhancement for the teacher, for the students, as they bring together the growth of today. We talk about 21st century skills, right? Like communication, collaboration, critical thinking, creativity. For all these, if you look carefully, these cannot happen without teachers. Even when we see a group discussion happening somewhere, there has to be someone who will monitor that group discussion, no? Collaboration has to go towards a positive side. Critical thinking also has its own set of negativity if not monitored properly. So it's the teacher who is going to take this aspect of putting the technology on the right track to be used by the students in the right way, so that the education of a student, not academics, education, the holistic development of the student happens in the best way.
I think you've kind of put it so aptly, and some of the things that you've kind of also emphasized is, like, there is content out there, there are means out there, but there is an intervention required, which so that all of that we do leads to a constructive outcome, and that obviously I think there has to be somebody that students look up to, in terms of be it collaboration, be it communication, be it critical thinking, and all the conversations that are being done. So yes, completely buy to that. And ma'am, there is another thing which, obviously NEP came in 2020, but this is the year when we're actually seeing how it is getting sort of, shaped up in our education system. And it lays a lot of emphasis on skilling, on experiential learning. So how does that, for example, add to the learning outcomes of children, right? How does that all add up now, that NEP 2020, and as you are actually implementing, now onwards? So how is that? What do you think, like, how will that impact the learning outcomes? While it looks like a good policy, the teachers have to be trained, that has to be, the content needs to be published for that, but how will it help the learner?
This is the first point. Let me put it on record that NEP 2020 is an extremely progressive document. It has its glitches, people have the apprehension, agreed. Any change happening anywhere, and a major change like paradigm shift in the education arena is going to pose a threat to many of us, and we feel we are not equipped enough. But let us go back to our traditional Gurukul system. Gurukul system, nobody sat at home and studied. It was learning by doing. They had hands-on experiences of whatever they wanted to be. Even in the Gurukul, everyone was not taught the same thing. A king's son was trained in a different way. A soldier son was trained in a different way. It was a customized approach, which NEP is talking about. Isn't it wonderful that we are trying to bring back the platforms that will give customized training to the children? And theory is not about all. It is about the skills that they develop, the various co-curricular areas that they ponder on, and ultimately the things that they do make them good learners and, of course, excel in their life, maybe through skill development, internship, hands-on experience, apprenticeship. Wherever you do it hands-on, you know, and you learn better. And NEP gives ample space for all of us so that our children are actually well prepared for the future of tomorrow.
Yeah, so definitely over there also, I think you have a very, very important point, saying like, skilling, it's a format, right? And it's just not about theory now any longer. And anything that they do with their hands is when they will actually sort of learn. Now, while we've kind of, launched NAP, we're looking at skilling and a lot of other things that are on our agenda. One of the things that we've been talking to all the educators is about, the coaching classes, right? There's a lot of emphasis. There are lot more, companies, also private sector, joining the there was always a private sector in that, but there's also a more corporatized kind of format where a lot of coaching is happening. And whether they supplement the school education, whether they add more to what school is required to do, but all of this is increasingly also added the number of hours that a student is actually doing schooling for 7 hours or whatever, and then maybe 3-4 hours just going towards extra coaching, towards something else, I don't know, or maybe the same thing, right? with QET coming in, obviously there's more students who kind of will jump onto looking at coaching because they need to clear another entrance exam, right? So what is what is in your view is the role this whole parallel supplementing classes are going to add to a student, and then the whole experiential thing that we're talking about, how does all of this stitch up then?
Aditi, one thing I want to tell you, um, my point may be objectionable to many, but I am not in favor of any kind of coaching for the children. The school syllabus, the mode of transaction, the platforms for evaluation, all are structured in a gradual manner, right from the pre-primary to middle to higher. There is no gap in between. You know, there is no gap in between, and that is the reason students sail through comfortably when they are in school. But once coaching comes in between, what happens is they are aiming for short term goals. They are giving you a promise that you're going to qualify for CUET, maybe, or maybe some other competitive examination. That does not clear your concept. And education is all about having the right concept, because it is not about utilizing it now, it's throughout your life that you're going to use it. And the base has to be very strong. And none of the coachings promise to make your base strong, which schools do. Whether it is subjects like mathematics, the sciences, the languages, all these have their basics interwoven into the school curriculum. So at no point, okay, if it is a requirement, if some people, the students' parents, feel that it is a requirement, it can be complementary to the school education, but it cannot replace the school education. Because in the process, the gap that gets created will never be filled. Right? This is my
Right.
take on this.
No, absolutely. And because I've been talking to many education leaders, and some of them feel that there should be, there's a need for coaching classes, additionally to attend us to attempt the competitive exams, and some others like they're categorical that the school should be whatever they study in school, that 8 hours should be able to package whatever is required for them to move forward. But at the same time, for example, if they want to appear, they want to enter any higher education, there is a different format for it, which is different from how the school education is ending, which is putting that pressure on the student to sort of study beyond whatever is the school curriculum, and that's adding to their sort of burden, or so to say, that there's more that needs to be done just because the various formats are different. And so there the question is like, why do we need it? And obviously there are quite a few educators who have said that coaching is required, and sometimes they've said they're required for the gifted children, they're required for children who want to do more or maybe less, where you feel okay, okay, this child needs to go and study with somebody one on one. But yeah, that we kind of getting those responses also. So there is another point that I want to talk about, and it has its root into what we just talked and prior to that. But I think it's become more important conversations now, which is like the mental health of children. And maybe it always was, and we were never sort of focusing as much. And also not just the pandemic, but generally the the social media or even all the environment around us, and we can't just partially blame it on social media and stay out of it. But I think there is a certain you know pressure on children, which is leading to higher mental health issues, social emotional issues amongst children. And therefore, what is the role that maybe teachers can or a school can play in that space?
Let me go back to your previous question first and I'll connect these two. You yourself spoke about the pressure on the children when they have to do the coaching and the schooling together. Let us let the educational fraternity, the school and the leaders of the school, along with the parents, understand that this pressure that is exerted on the children to reach a successful point early in their life can make them feel extremely uncomfortable when they are not able to do it. And when we all know it is a pressure, why are we doing it? That's my question, connecting it to the previous one. And if it is the emotional well being, the mental well being that we are talking about, again, I'll say, even in the professional world, in maybe about 15, 20 years ago, when anyone went for an interview, what was checked was his IQ, intelligence quotient. Today, it is not about intelligence quotient, it is about emotional quotient. The child needs to have the right balance of intelligence and emotion. The component of empathy, compassion needs to be in the student. Doesn't matter if he is successful in 1 year or 2 years or 5 years. Doesn't matter. He has to be a good human being first. If we have to look at it in a larger spectrum, keeping the welfare of the society and the globe, the child has to be emotionally very, very strong. And for that matter, mental wellness is very important. Schools have adapted, my group of schools, Jaipuria group of schools, we have adapted to socio-emotional learning curriculum. It is interwoven in our main curriculum where we train the children to first be aware of yourself. If we don't, everyone doesn't have everything. I may be tall, you may be short. I may be dark, you may be fair. All these things do not matter. Knowing yourself, accepting yourself, and managing yourself is the prime requirement in the process. You understand, you are supposed to understand the social requirement, relationship management, responsible decision making, being aware of the environment and the issues that are related to environment are so very essential. Today, if a child gets angry and just tears off a notebook, not only is it bad for him, he is wasting paper. These may seem to be very small, they are not small things. So schools have to take care that the mental well-being of the students are very well looked into. Success will follow. We don't have to place a deadline for that. It can be 6 months or even 6 years. Doesn't matter at all.
I understand you talked about Jaipuria schools being sort of, bringing that as a part of their. Is there a lot of sensitization that happens around the teachers when it
Yes,
comes to?
initially teachers are trained for it. Initially teachers are groomed for it. Only then can they do it.
Right,
I mean,
right, right.
so it is a
Right,
complete process. First the leaders, then the teachers, then the students. We include parents also. We
right,
include
right, right,
parents also.
right, right. Yeah, so there is again interrelated to this, or maybe a little different, is around how to make inclusive campuses, for example. And it's not just to do with disabilities, it's also to do with or differently abled children, it's to do with everything, like the ethnicities, the socio-economic backgrounds. There are cities and states where you find mixed religions, you find mixed kind of backgrounds, and there are cities and states which do not have that. And yet to sort of bring that sensitization in the children, and to make the institutes more open to it. So what do you think will be the pillars of that? How can we, because at a home you have a very homogeneous sort of uh, you know 5 people or 6 people at home, but for a child to, as they grow, in order to become a global citizen, or even at a national level, to be very open, tolerant, look at the macro picture of how the world works, and how to bring that inclusiveness. They School is their first institute, right? And so how do we do that? What pillars do you think we need to introduce so that the campuses become like that, the ecosystem, and how does that translate into students?
First thing, Divya, I'm contradicting you, one of your statements where you say that the homes have homogeneous um, status, That's not correct. Today's home, there are many of them where the mother is working, the father is taking care of the home. There are inter-caste marriages happening in the family.
Right.
That's
But
about
those are, yeah,
distributing
those are
equal.
fewer, I would say.
No,
Those
but
are
it will increase. This is the way it
yeah.
is going to increase, and I agree to this point that schools should have an inclusive education pattern where instead of telling the children in the social study period that mandir, masjid, church, everything is the same. If you have the same sort of celebration for all the religions, or sensitizing boys and girls about not being specific to certain qualities. Boys don't cry and girls are not strong, etc. It is best done, again, I go back to that, through your activities, through the way you talk to them, through the way you give them the responsibilities. So the school working pattern has to be inclusive.
Right.
The approach has to be customized. Again, hands-on celebration, peer learning session, project-based learning where you include the requirements of the society and you go according to that, principles of equality, acceptance, individual differences, financial differences have to be addressed, and children have to learn to respect each of it, no
Right.
doubt.
Right. I think, ma'am, from our side, I think these were some of the points that we wanted to have your views on, and we're hoping that we'll stay in touch. And on that note, I want to thank you for your participation today, and I also want to wish you a very happy Teachers' Day, and to all your faculty members and students.
I will surely pass on your wishes to my teachers. And moreover, when your video comes, they will know that
Yes.
through me you have wished them. Thank you
Yes.
from my side. Thank you from all my team members to Curious Time for
Thank you.
wishing us and for providing all the opportunities that you do.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Lovely talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.